Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me today on our homesteading channel. I wanted to take a couple minutes today to introduce you to our fur babies that I have right here with me, as well as talk about some of the particular breed traits and why we have them here on the homestead. Something else I'd like to discuss is some key factors that you should consider before getting one of these breeds, as they are large breed dogs. This is Tank. This is our brindle right here. He's about 14 months old, and then we have Roxy. This is his girlfriend. She's a fawn color, and she's about 6 months old. So they're about 8 months apart. Before we get into the video itself, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and if you're new here to our channel, welcome, and we're happy to have you. Make sure that you head on over to our channel for other informational videos and lots of other educational materials that we've got available for you. Make sure you stick around for the last half of this video. What I'm going to do is talk about the key advantages to having this particular type of breed on the homestead. This is Tank. He's a cross between a Cane Corso and an Old English Bulldog, and he has what we like to call a scrunchy face. Old English Bulldogs are actually known for their droopy lips and for their droopy faces. Yes, that's a good boy. And what this is, so the Old English Bulldog breed, it was actually bred, it's different from the English Bulldog in that they're actually bred for health. So they're much healthier than regular English Bulldogs just because the genetics, the sickly genetics have been bred out of them. As you can see from Tank here, he's very affectionate, and he fits the description of an Old English Bulldog. However, he is part Cane Corso as well. He's broader than a regular Old English Bulldog would be. One thing about Cane Corsos is that they're very smart. They're very intelligent dogs. They're also known as Italian Mastiffs, Cane Corsos. And what they are, they're known best for their protective guardian instincts, as well as their massive size, and their smarts, of course. As far as intellect goes, Cane Corsos are actually among the top 3 smartest breeds, which makes them a pleasure to train as long as you know what you're doing. Touching on personality briefly, we definitely see the best of both worlds from Tank. Old English Bulldogs are extremely loyal, as are most large breeds. Old English Bulldogs are very curious and they're very stubborn canines. Cane Corsos are extremely protective of and affectionate towards their owners, and are one of the more calm and alert guardian breeds. Tank is 100% a guardian dog, and he doesn't actually make any noise unless he needs to the point where it's kind of scary how quiet he is some days. One thing about Cane Corsos is that they're very assertive. Even when they're well trained, they will consistently push boundaries, and Tank does that all the time. Case in point, before this video, we were actually outside calling him for about 10 minutes straight, and he did not come until we went inside, and then he appeared, but very quietly, so that we didn't hear him or see where he came from. So this is Roxy. She is a Cane Corso and an English Mastiff cross, and you can see the physical differences between her and her boyfriend over there. English Mastiffs are also a guardian dog breed, and they're known for their massive size in particular. Purebred dogs of this breed can actually weigh up to 220 pounds, which makes them one of the largest large breed dogs on the planet. Now Roxy won't get that big, being that she's a cross with a Cane Corso and that she's a female, but she is going to be bigger than Tank. So come time for puppies, it's going to be interesting to see how that works. Being a Cane Corso, she is a lot to handle because she's quite intelligent and she constantly wants to test her boundaries, but discipline and patience is the key with all large breed dogs, and particularly these guys. The Cane Corso in them makes them very smart, so training's coming along well. There's some key things to consider when you are talking about getting a large breed dog, particularly a Mastiff. One of the most important things that I would like to discuss would be exercise. Large breed dogs, especially Mastiffs, need a lot of exercise. Cane Corsos, or Italian Mastiffs, are Mastiffs, so they are among the lazier breed of dog. However, they do need a lot of exercise because they are the most active of the Mastiff breed. Our puppies get quite a lot of exercise. Usually they'll run about 6 miles with us when we go for runs in the morning, as well as marking their way all around the property, and taking off here and there and doing their own thing. So they get a lot of exercise. Cane Corsos or any particular Mastiff doesn't necessarily need that much exercise, but they are going to need significant living space to spread out. If you live in anything other than, I would say, 700 to 800 square feet, it may be a challenge if you have a large breed dog in order to be able to have them live comfortably in that living area. One of the major advantages that we find here, being remotely located, is that our dogs do not even know what a leash or a collar is. When we go for runs in the morning, they go right along with us. We don't ever put them on leashes or have them wear collars, and they run right alongside with us, which is nice. This brings me to my next point, training. Training is so important for any dog, really, but particularly for large breed dogs. When you have a large breed dog, it's not like a small dog that you can just pick them up if they're misbehaving and physically remove them from a situation. In a lot of cases with large breed dogs, particularly in my case, large breed dogs will outweigh or almost outweigh their owners. Tank is actually 95% of my weight. Figure that one out. I don't have the physical strength to control Tank right now at this point, and I will not have the physical strength to control Roxy pretty soon from the rate she's growing. So it's really important that they listen to me, and also that they listen to Andre. Now, if you're in the city, it's even more important to be able to control your dog. Out here in a remote location, it's not as big of a deal. If our dog is off leash, it's not like there's anyone around who may be frightened of that. Now, if you're in the city, that's a different story. There's lots of people around at all times, and a lot of people are scared of dogs, and especially big dogs, just by them being there. You don't even have to have a large, intimidating dog. It would just be a large dog, period. Training is important. The last thing that you want as a large dog owner is no control over a dog that scares people by its very existence. Another thing, the last thing that I wanted to discuss is personality. That's something that people need to be aware of. So as we've discovered personally from having both Tank and Roxy, and both being half Cane Corso, they are very stubborn. Tank will consistently do things that he knows he is not supposed to, just to see if he can get away with it, and he will consistently push boundaries. He's teaching Roxy to do the same thing. So discipline and patience is absolutely key with these guys. A word of caution and advice regarding Cane Corsos or anything that is crossed with a Cane Corso. These guys are very stubborn and they're very intelligent, and that can be dangerous if you don't know what you are doing with this large breed dog. If you are going to get one, be prepared for consistent training, lots of patience, and lots of research. One thing I do want to mention as a quick topic here is the food that we feed them. Many people have asked us what we feed them, how often we feed them, how well that's working. There's a very important point I'd like to make here. These are large breed dogs. Tank is approximately 90 to 95 pounds right now, and Roxy is approximately 55 to 60 pounds right now. By the time they're finished growing, Tank is probably going to be around 110 to 120. Roxy will probably be 120 to 130. These are large breed dogs and they eat a lot of food. Now, some people will tell you that dog food is not that expensive. You're right, dog food, commercially produced dog food, is not that expensive, but that's not what we feed them. We feed them raw.
That means raw meat from a variety of different animals with certain percentages of bones, organ, muscle meat, and fruits and vegetables. Yes, that means our dogs are carnivores. And yes, that means they eat other animals. If we take a minute to think about where dogs are descended from, it makes sense. Dogs, particularly these large breeds, are direct descendants from wolves. We try to keep them as close to a natural diet as possible.
While they do get kibble, it only makes up about 35 to 40% of their diet. On a daily basis, feeding both of these guys a partially raw and partially kibble diet runs us about $12 to $15 a day. That's not including supplements, that's not including treats, that's not including anything else. That's just food. You can see how it's going to add up, and it does add up over time, but our hope is that by feeding them quality, nutritious food, we deal with less problems down the road when they're older. Living 5.5 to 6 hours away from a vet means you have to be proactive with everything, and that includes the health and well-being of your animals.
Moving out to a remote area, we knew the importance of getting large protective breeds as working dogs around the property. Living in the middle of nowhere, where your closest neighbor is a wolf or perhaps a bear, it's absolutely essential to have a large breed guard or guardian dog. Protective Mastiff breeds means a few advantages on a remote property. Number 1, an alarm system. You have a built-in alarm system. Guardian dogs are always on high alert for anything out of the ordinary on their territory, and these guys are extremely vigilant when it comes to their area. I'd almost say too vigilant, but better safe than sorry. This is a tremendous advantage when you live in a remote area, mostly because of the animals, but also in case you have any human visitors. Not everyone has good intentions, and it's really important to be aware of your surroundings and your property. Mastiff breeds are a huge help with that. Number 2, animal avoidance. Animals tend to avoid your area altogether. Other than the beginning of spring, when animals start coming out of hibernation and are so hungry they'll do anything, most wild animals, like bears and wolves, will keep a wide berth from your immediate area if you have large breed dogs on your property. There's a couple reasons for this. The first, and most simple, is that most wild animals tend to avoid confrontation with other large animals. They simply do not want to fight, unless, of course, they're a top predator. Also, wild animals will recognize a dog's scent and often associate it with humans, which sparks a flight reaction in their brain, and they'll head in the opposite direction. Now, obviously that doesn't happen all the time, which leads me to my next point. If a large animal does come around, you have large breed dogs to defend the place. This is another really important reason for these guys. Territorial protection. Number 3, territorial protection. Being that these guys are highly sensitive and emotional animals, they view us as their property and our entire homestead as their home, their area to defend. That also means any animals that we bring in, chickens and goats, for example. They know that those are our animals, meaning that they protect them as well as us. They're not aggressive dogs unless they need to be, either with people or with animals. A valid concern at our homestead is a bear or a wolverine coming around with the chickens and goats on the property. If that does happen, we have 2 dogs to first alert us and then become involved in any defense that may be necessary. Most animals will turn tail and run, regardless of what they're doing, if they see 2 large breeds coming for them. Now, again, that won't always be the case, and so if these 2 need to fight, they'll fight well. Not only are they fiercely protective of their area and of us, but they have the size, the agility, and the bite force that can easily take on a predator. Let's talk about bite force for a second. Bite force for dogs is measured in pounds per square inch, or PSI. Cane Corsos have a bite force of 700 PSI, ranking them, again, in the top 3 for bite force out of all dog breeds. English Mastiff's bite force is approximately 550 PSI, and Old English Bulldog's bite force ranks at about 500 PSI. So, between the 2 of them, once those PSIs are averaged, you're looking at a bite strength of approximately 1,225 pounds. That's some serious bite strength to be reckoned with for any animal that is larger than them, such as a bear or a wolf. Number 4, personal protection. I've mentioned this a few times, but I'll say it again. Large breed dogs, and particularly Corsos, are loyal to an absolute fault. These 2 are the absolute best when it comes to being on top of us, literally. They do not let us go anywhere outside without them. Simple things like myself going around the property, be it just to the root cellar and back, one or both of them is always with me. This is something you'll want to consider if you are moving out to a remote area, to a farm, or to a homestead type property. Number 5, hunting. This is not something that's known widely, but Cane Corsos were actually bred particularly for hunting large game. While they don't have the same nose as a bloodhound, they do have a very powerful sense of smell. They aren't the dog that will make a beeline for the trail of a deer or a moose, but they are the dog that will take one down. They will catch smaller things too, like rabbits, foxes, and birds, but their usefulness as far as hunting goes is mostly in large game takedowns. Living remotely or on a farm where hunting makes the majority of your sustenance, this is something that is necessary for survival.
That's all for today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed putting it together. Let us know in the comments down below what you think. What kind of dog is best suited for a homestead? I'll see you in the next video.